All right, so it's 7 o'clock on Monday, May 16th, 2022, and I'll call the meeting to order. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Okay, seeing none. So I'm just going to have Deputy Mayor Hendricks, you just want to push your button there so people can see that you're present and in the building. And then perfect. Then we'll have Coulter push his button. So we got clerk, myself, Morgan Calvert, CAO, Councillor Brody, Johnny Pereira, our treasurer, and then Public Works Manager Coulter Cahill. And on the screen with us today, we have Dirk Vanderwerf, Director of Planning, and Aaron Besch, our planner for Adelaide Metcalfe, as well as Councillor McKinnon is on the screen, and Councillor Clark should hopefully be joining us at some point during the meeting on Zoom. All right, so we have the minutes of the previous meeting, and those are for May 2nd, 2022. A mover and seconder for those for approval. Councillor Brody and Councillor McKinnon, all those in favor, and that's carried. All right, so we have a delegation for tonight, and it's the provincial changes through Bill 109, More Homes for Everyone Act, and we have Dirk here, and he's going to go through a presentation, and I think Mike's going to be the clicker for you. So you just, whatever your magic word is, Mike will figure it out and he'll flip the page for you.
Okay. All right, well, thank you through the mayor and to council. And I brought Aaron, of course, if there's any tough questions or anything about your local processes and you're wondering about how it might affect you, I wanted to make sure Aaron was here to both hear the discussion and answer those questions. So, and I'll be fairly quick, and I'll apologize to the mayor. You've seen a version of this, of course, at County Council already, but the province recently passed Bill 109, the More Homes for Everyone Act. Next slide, please. And the province are undertaking a number of initiatives related to housing, trying to address the housing affordability issues. This presentation, as is circled on the screen, is only really dealing with the changes to the Planning Act, but they did make a number of other changes, including the building code, development charges, and real estate laws, and some of those other areas, but I won't get into that. Next slide, please. So this first slide really applies more to the county, as in the sense that the county's official plan must be approved by the minister, as opposed to a local official plan, which is approved by the municipality. What's noteworthy about this, though, is that the province are allowing themselves to essentially pause any kind of review of a county official plan amendment, which is in quite a contrast to the timelines that they're imposing on municipalities for other matters. The suspensions of timelines are retroactive, and I understand that they immediately paused all reviews of ongoing county official plans or official plan amendments. Next slide, please. Under the title, this is the provincial wording, incentivize municipalities to make timely decisions. And this is probably the most significant change. As of next year, 2023, January 1st, municipalities must refund application fees if timelines are not met. However, it is only, and this is important, it's only for zoning bylaw amendments and for site plans. So for instance, for a zoning bylaw amendment, if a municipality does not achieve the 90-day timeline, a 50% refund must occur, then another 25%, and then another 25% to the, what would be the entire application fee after 210 days. Next slide, please. Another important area of change relates to site plan control. And this is the one that is, and I'll speak to this towards the end, is the most timely, in that you must delegate the authority to approve site plans. Presently it rests with Township Council, and that must be delegated to staff by July 1st, 2022. And I've been talking to Morgan and Michael about that. Again, the refund of application fees, if a 60-day timeline is not met, that refund doesn't start until January 1st, 2023. So we've got a little bit of time to sort of work on our processes and how we're going to deal with that. But the actual delegation must happen very shortly. A number of other technical changes are included in the Planning Act. Next slide, please. More related to the county's role in terms of plans of subdivision and condominiums, the legislation will now allow the county to, at the request of an applicant, to reactivate a file that had previously lapsed. That's quite an improvement. There were some of those cases where essentially the developer would have to start the process anew. So this is a good step forward. But it also does allow the minister to prescribe matters that cannot be included as conditions of draft plan approval. And really it's to, I believe, to address concerns of scope creep, as they say, where developers are concerned about the kinds of conditions and requirements that municipalities request the county to impose. Next slide. The Community Infrastructure and Housing Accelerator is a new, something that's new in the legislation, and it really is the equivalent of a light MZO. And you've probably seen the minister's zoning order in the news. It's been done a number of times, especially in the GTA. Probably a great local example would be the creation of the Toyota plant outside of Woodstock. That's a minister's zoning order, and it basically allows the minister to step in, remove land use planning controls, put zoning in place, and then sort of step back. And it's done, it traditionally has been done for those larger projects that have a provincial or national importance. This new form will allow a municipality to essentially request a MZO. And importantly, MZOs are not subject to appeal. So once they're put in place by the province, they are in place. Next slide. A number of other changes. The ministry, and I think this is a positive, has made a commitment to the provision of data. So for instance, annual population numbers for the Ministry of Finance and some of those areas. The minister may also prescribe municipal reporting on planning matters and also development approvals data standards, something that they've put in the legislation, but there are no details provided or no indication as to what that would mean yet. There's some reporting requirements, for instance, for development charges, and that certain information must be on your website, etc. A number of transition provisions to just deal with files that are already in the process, etc. And then they also committed a significant amount of funding to the Ontario Land Tribunal to try to work on the backlog that's there. Next slide. So in terms of at least my initial thoughts, as I said already, this first slide relates to County Council and the county's role as the approval authority. But in contrast to the incentivized timelines that municipalities are required, the province is giving themselves an out and can pause or can also refer files to the Ontario Land Tribunal, even without an appeal occurring. So there are some potential cost implications for the county on that. Overall, the changes don't significantly impact the county's role as the approval authority. Next slide. So most of the changes will really relate to local municipalities. And I think you're going to be putting your staff and councils in a difficult position on some of these files, and that there's going to be pressure to respond quickly, while at the same time, we may end up having to give back application fees. So you're sort of being hit on both sides of it. And in particular, there are a lot of, and I use the term pinch points there, but it's those, dealing with conservation authorities or dealing with the railways or MTO in proximity to the 400 series interchanges, even just things like engineering peer review. If you need to get a noise study peer reviewed on behalf of the township, to get that done in, back and forth in 60 days is going to be very, very difficult. So I think in the end, councils are going to have to be in a position to front end work before complete applications are submitted, but also, or accepted, I should say, but also you're going to have to, I think, be faced with some deliberate decisions to approve or possibly deny zoning bylaw amendments within a time frame, within the prescribed time frame, or if you're not comfortable yet, you would defer it, but you have to be aware that that will result in a application fee refund. Also, you're working on your community improvement plan right now, and with your consultant, we'll have to just look at to ensure that the language is there so that if there's a component where application fees are refunded if they qualify for the CIP, that they don't get a double refund if the timelines aren't met. We'll have to look at what that wording would look like. Next slide. Site plan approval. So this is the immediate task. And I've, as I said, I've spoken to your staff and also Arnie, your CBO, about what this might look like. And we're going to have some more information in the next couple of weeks sent out to CAOs. But essentially, you must delegate the authority to staff within just over a month from now. And it will require us to place a greater emphasis on pre-submission reviews. So back and forth, probably in discussion with applicants before a formal submission is made. And then the other approach that places like London, for instance, take is to give conditional approval. So they meet the timeline, and they approve a site plan, but there are a lengthy list of things that need to be done, whether it's more detailed engineering or a swim report or those sort of things. So we may have to look at some of those. As I noted here, you might want to consider pre-consultation fees. That's something that our municipalities traditionally haven't done, trying to encourage applicants to come in and pre-consult. But if you end up having to do a lot of the work at the front end during the pre-consultation fee, you might want to consider that. You may get pressure to have special council meetings just to make the timelines of the zoning bylaw. And then I think, and we've got some months to work on this, but I think generally both our planners and then your staff and your CBO will have to re-examine our processes and sort of try to find whatever streamline, whatever things that we can do to make things that bit faster. And some of the examples that have been suggested by others are like checklist letters and more checklist kind of shorter reports to kind of keep things going. There are some small changes that will be needed to your official plan and also your site plan bylaws to include the requirements for pre-consultation and the detailed submission requirements. I can't remember if there's another slide or not. There we go. So we are already working and we're already implementing the digital planning system, and that was funded by the province already, which will, in much the same way that building permits are applied for online, planning applications will be moving that way. So I think that will greatly assist in the streamlining, the accountability, and also the reporting requirements that the province has indicated they're going to require. In terms of accountability, I think it's important. If municipalities don't make a timeline, I think it'll be important to look back at and see where the gaps were, where the delays were, and undoubtedly sometimes it is a peer reviewer or a municipal review, but I think we'll find, and the software will let us count this. It'll often also be the applicants where certain information is asked, and if that takes them a month to get back to the municipality, then that time, we should record that. Overall, there's a number of things in there that are really difficult to evaluate because the regulations haven't been put out. And with the calling of the election, of course, all of this, the additional work that would go along with this has been put on hold. Even just generally, the timing of this has been quite quick for provincial government. When they posted on the ERO, they typically post legislation for 30 days as they did for this, and then they will extend it depending on the amount of comments that they get and the kind of work that goes into it. In this case, they posted it for 30 days, but then they just passed the act in 15 days, even prior to the posting for comments concluding. So they certainly wanted to move quickly on this. And then overall, I think it does limit the ability of municipalities to work with applicants. And I think that's always been one of our strengths, is to try to work towards a resolution, even if it takes a bit more time, as opposed to a more, maybe some of the larger urban centers where it's a bit more perhaps adversarial and there's more appeals. And we've been able to generally work with applicants and not have as many appeals. And I would say overall, I think that there are going to be a number of unintended consequences of this. And I don't really see it, at least on the surface, making the impact that the province is probably hoping for in terms of bringing more housing on the market. So that's a very quick overview of Bill 109 as best we know it today. As I said, we are working with your staff on the immediate for July 1st in terms of site plan control changes. And then we'll be working on the other items before the end of the year so that we're in place for January 2023. And through the mayor, I'd certainly be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Dirk. Is there any questions at all from members of council? Not seeing any. Thank you, Dirk, for the information, and it's always good to hear it for a second time as well, not only at County Council, but here and with respect to municipal matters. Before we have you go, I do know that on our agenda under recommended readings, we have just the notice of public meeting for the official plan update. I just didn't know if you wanted to give a 1 or 2 minute spiel about what's happening with the OP at the county level.
Sure, that'd be great. So I always like to talk about the county's official plan, and we're really getting there. This has been a large project that we initiated a number of years ago and did a number of chunks of it, and then put it on hold when the province, with this government, asked major projects to be put on pause. And then COVID, and we had about a year there where we lost a bit of traction. So we're back at it. In 2021, we consolidated all of the work that had been done, population projections, economic development work, County Council has put in a new strategic plan, and so we wanted to make sure that the goals of the strategic plan are reflected in the official plan, that the documents aren't at odds. Same with the economic development strategy. So a number of those projects were all that information was put together in late 2021, and our first draft OPA was put out at that time. At the county level, we have a planning advisory committee, which is comprised of a number of members of county council and then also a couple of public appointees. And so they worked through a number of sessions late last year and then at the start of this year and sort of refined on some of the key issues. What is the consultation OPA that's out now. Then I'm also kind of excited about the Middlesex 2046 program. So the county, we're trying to revisit and kind of relaunch how we interface with and consult with the public, everything from social media to news releases and how that's done. So at the same time that we had a consultant assisting county council with that project, we also engaged Aaron Ohosky, I should say, the other Aaron, to help with this project. And so we did a series of workshops, local councilor workshops, ag sector, economic development and developers, et cetera, local CAOs and the groups like that. We also launched a online survey, and we had council copies in libraries, but when we had almost 500 responses to the survey, which is really, really good for the county. And we haven't, not everyone is as excited about county level policy work as Morgan and I are, but we did get a good number of people on that. All of that was summarized into a report, and Aaron presented that to our planning advisory committee and the county council. We've had an open house, the statutory open house, and then on May 24th is the statutory public meeting. So, that information's on our website. Also, if anyone was to contact me, I would send them that information also. And basically, that's an opportunity for anyone to come and address county council. There'll be a short presentation from myself. And then, as I said, anyone can address county council. And then all that information will again be summarized. And then at a subsequent county council meeting, in the next couple of meetings, council will sort of debate and decide if they wish to move forward with an amendment to the county's official plan.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Dirk. Is there any questions from members of council just regarding the OP update? I think Morgan may have forwarded on that email a while ago with that information. I'm not seeing any questions at all. Okay, thank you so much, Dirk, for your time.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we'll move into correspondence. So our next meeting is on Monday, June 6th at 7 o'clock, and then followed by Monday, June 20th. Recommended readings. The first one here is from the Sauble Bayfield Conservation Authority, their 2021 audited financial statements. Number 2, Ministry of Energy, the Natural Gas Expansion Program. Item number 3 is from the County of Middlesex, and it is their council highlights for April 26, 2022. And just to note on that, as Dirk was mentioning, so County Council went through communications strategic strategy going forward. So County Council will be having the council highlights following every meeting as well. Hopefully you've seen their new website as well. That is in line with all the other lower tiers, so it's very easy to navigate through. And then on social media, they've done an excellent job of promoting everything that's going on within the county. So we should see a pretty good presence from the county going forward. So I'm quite proud of the work that we've done on that at the county level. Item number 4 is the County of Middlesex, the official plan update, notice of public meeting. That's on May 24th. The Middlesex London Health Unit Board of Health update for April. The Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing Bill 109 presentation and Q&A. Item number 7 is the Blue Water Recycling Association Blue Box Regulation Primer. And this one, I think we should probably have Francis from Blue Water Recycling come in, because I don't know about everybody else, but it was a little confusing reading through it. Mike.
Through your worship, members council, we are in the process of asking Francis to attend to explain this, as I would admit that it is pretty confusing, the whole subject. So,
and then followed up also from Blue Water Recycling, the Blue Box Program transition update for May 2022. Action required. from the Township of Kamlaki, the Bill 109 response. Councillor McKinnon,
I was for supporting it.
and then Deputy Hendricks, you wanting to second that?
Yeah, I'll second that. Given what we just heard, I think I can be in agreement with this.
Okay. Councillor Brody, any comments? No. Okay, all those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, we'll jump into our staff reports. The first one is from our treasurer, and it's the operating budget to actual for April 2022. Johnny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Overall spending to date and revenue collection to date looks to be on pace with the approved budget. There is only really one item on here to touch on is the animal control. It looks like services from the Glencoe Animal Shelter will cease due to retirement. So I know the clerk, Mike, and Morgan CAO is looking into options for that, as well as other municipalities. But as far as the budget actual, everything looks to be on pace. The recommendation is to receive the report as presented. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, is there any questions at all for Johnny? Okay, not seeing any. Morgan, just because Johnny touched on the animal control, do you want to have anything else to add?
Absolutely. Actually, I was just about to jump in on that one. So council will see a report in the near future about a bit of a hole that's been left for us in terms of animal control. I think her name is Vicky Kyle. She is retiring, so congratulations to Vicky. But it certainly left quite a hole for not only Adelaide Metcalfe, but Southwest Middlesex and other area municipalities. So I've actually been in contact with about 5 or 6 municipalities in the area, all looking at how we can resolve this animal control issue. So we're currently developing a cooperative RFP so we could find a new pound keeper or animal control individual or group or company. So stay tuned on that one and we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Is there any questions on that? Okay, not seeing any. So we just need to have a motion that the operating budget to actual report for April 2022 be received for information. Okay, Councillor Brody and Deputy Hendricks, all those in favor, and that's carried. Okay, next up is the Kerwood Park improvements phase 2, and we have a presentation from Morgan and Coulter, or whoever wants to take it all on.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll take a lead, and Coulter, as always, if there's anything I've left out, please feel free to jump in. So as council knows, we're working through phase 2 planning for our Kerwood Park improvement project. Really through this presentation, I'm just looking for some feedback from council, ultimately approval of the drawings, maybe some minor amendments if there's some discussion along the way. And then we're going to be issuing the tender through Spreet Associates almost immediately after we deal with any feedback. So getting right into it, we've seen this project summary sheet before, but essentially we're looking to improve the Kerwood Park through a new facility or community space, improved accessibility throughout. We have constructed accessible washrooms. We're looking to refresh existing amenities and of course, encourage new park related activities. Our approach, so initially we had a phase 1 and 2 approach, but now we're looking at a phase 3 because a couple of things have popped up on us that would absolutely fall outside of our available budget today. But we're also looking at other things like grant opportunities, for example, in terms of the EV charging station. But again, phased in over 2 years. Our first year was the Washington Pavilion facility. It's 99% complete. I think they just finished the grading late last week. Probably going to lay down some grass seed. Coulter can answer any other questions about phase 1 remaining. But phase 2, we're really looking at refreshing the rest of the Kerwood Park. And then phase 3, we'll get into during the next budget season. We'll propose some options or considerations for council at that time. Phase 2 site works, we looked at the ball diamonds, including fencing. We looked at things like dugouts, the lighting, the bleachers, the parking lot. We looked at aesthetics and landscaping. One thing that came up that I thought was a super cool idea was the outdoor ice rink and a partnership with the Optimist Club. So I actually owe them a draft agreement that will be delivered to them sometime in the summer. I actually just worked with County Legal on that. We're getting pretty close to a first draft for their review. One thing that popped up during the last time we discussed at Kerwood Park with council was a potential pickleball court. So again, that was outside of our initial budget, but we'll see if we can fit it in. And we've added some sidewalks just to enhance some accessibility from the parking lot to the washroom facility, and then of course over to the playground equipment. So getting right into the overview, or I guess the site plan of the park. To the north, you'll see a paved parking lot. It includes an asphalt walkway around the playground. We've heard from council that we really didn't like this little no man's land in between the two pavilions. So we're looking to put some concrete down there. We'll have to do a couple fancy things with drainage just because both pavilions are draining into that little section. So we'll just have to lay some tile and a drain and get the water out of there. The other things that we looked at, we have two full-size soccer fields now out in the outfield because we've been able to remove the light standard that was in the middle of the outfield. A bit of a safety concern as well. So we moved that light standard altogether, and we have light standards in the outfield that will just flood on the side of the outfield. Sorry, that'll flood the outfield with light. It'll be new LED lighting, I believe. Yeah, Colter shaking his head. We also looked at how we can get people moving from the parking lot essentially over to the playground equipment. So we've added sidewalks on the west and east side of the paved parking lot. We were also looking at how folks would get from Kerwood Road into the park. So we've also added some sidewalk along Kerwood Road. Johnny asked us how we were going to fund this. We will bring a report back to council because the sidewalk project that Colter brought to council last meeting, I believe, we have some remaining funds there that we could reallocate, given council direction to this project. So I think we'll keep Johnny happy, we'll keep people happy and council happy, and then ultimately we'll hopefully get the entire project. The pickleball court is right beside the basketball court, right around here. So that's new. So it'll be included in the tender, and as part of the tender, we'll make sure that we have some flexibility to remove items if we need to, or reallocate funding potentially. What else should I say, Colter? Did I miss anything?
Ball diamonds. All that great thing to resurface those.
Go for it.
Yeah, actually, they're going to resurface the ball diamonds with the red clay, kind of typical for your a few of the newer upgraded ball diamonds out there. New bleachers. I don't know if you mentioned that either, Morgan. And also, as Morgan mentioned, there's going to be a sidewalk, hopefully down the east side of Kerwood Road with a few different portions opening up into the park. I know it's not on this drawing, but we are looking at having an opening right near the upgraded washroom facility to get onto the main road of Kerwood. Other than that, yeah, I think you covered everything. We're hoping to put a concrete little area, like you said, in between the two pavilions. Now there's the pickleball court, just north of the basketball court. And they are looking to bury these certain, I don't know if they're steel or what, corners for the soccer fields. So they aren't visible and it's safe, but you can still find the corners if needed to paint lines or chalk lines. Other than that, I think that is it.
Thank you, Colt. Next slide, we'll just get into a closer look at the north end. So I've basically split the overview in half just for a closer look at the drawings. But essentially, we have the parking lot, the sidewalks we just spoke about, the washroom pavilion facilities down here. We got a proposed pickleball court. So everything fits the plan. In the south end, these drawings still don't show it, but Coulter was talking about a sidewalk connecting Kerwood Road to the Washington Pavilion facility right here. And then we will have another sidewalk coming into the corner or from the corner of the park. This is helpful for also safety as well. There's multiple ways of getting in and out of the park, but also accessibility to each of the features of the park. We'll just jump to the electrical drawings. These ones are kind of hard to see, but the main features are really, we'll have some lighting in the parking lot. That'll just make a safe parking experience at night, but also folks can start to use the parking lot for trading items like Kijiji items or selling things on Facebook Marketplace or what's another one, eBay, if it's still around, I'm not sure. The other thing on the drawing too are we've deleted this light standard here and we've moved them to just the left and right side of the baseball diamonds, and it'll all be upgraded LED lighting. So in terms of timing, so we're really here to finalize the drawings. Once we finalize drawings, we're going to get some signage up at the park because we know folks are going to be using the park. We know we have a fish fry coming up. We also know we have a baseball tournament coming up. So we really want to make sure that folks are well aware of what summer of 2023 is going to look like at the park. We're going to issue the tender. It should close sometime in July with a report coming to council because I believe we only have one meeting in July. And then we'll award the tender so long as everything goes well and council's happy. The work will start in September or shortly after our last rented event at the park, and then should be completed by December. There will be some things that need to be done in the spring, like laying down grass seed, for example. In terms of phase 3, so we're looking at other potential additional improvements. So the barn will bring a report through the 2023 budget process. But we did have some questions about the structural integrity of the building. We had an engineer look at it and they recommended either, well, essentially a full replacement or some type of a smaller building. We had Arnie, the CBO, go out there and take a look at it because we know that this space is used as part of the fish fry. So he recommended some posts be replaced. So now everything is nice and safe for the fish fry. The recommendation from the engineers is really that it should be considered for significant work or just replacement. We're also looking at EV charging stations. EV charging stations are a bit of a tourist destination now. So this could be an opportunity to get people off the highway into Kerwood Park, see the amenities, get the park experience. But what we want to do through the EV charging stations is really hopefully work with the province of Ontario. They have $91 million out there for EV charging stations, and they actually mentioned municipal parks as a great place to put these charging stations. Coulter and I were out there at the park the other day, late last week or mid last week. We were actually looking at the South Pavilion. It absolutely does not look like the new pavilion. So we might want to make some improvements there, maybe some new roofing, maybe some paint, maybe some metal fascia or whatever on the posts. But again, we'll bring that to council's attention at the next budget process. The big one that we also want to mention today is we'd like to do the official opening on Friday, June 3rd at 2 p.m. So we're going to do a little bit of a Facebook communication. We'll get it out there. We're going to invite our Optimist Club, the Firefighters Association. I understand it's a PD day, so it might be a great opportunity for the community to come and see what we're doing. We'll also have the new facility open so folks can walk through it, get a look and feel of what the kitchenette can provide, and hopefully encourage some new park activities through actually a hands-on experience. We'll have signage up, probably one at the north end and one at the south end, just identifying the different amenities and how they're going to be changed or improved by summer of 2023. And then Coulter and his team will have the park in really good shape for this upcoming summer season. So in saying all that, our immediate next steps are to finalize the tender package and issue the tender. The works again to start at the end of the summer And then in 2023 budget, we'll look to determine what to do with phase 3. So on that, I'll leave it for council and any discussion.
Okay, thank you, Morgan and Coulter. I also took a walk around the pavilion and washroom facility during the weekend, and I'm very impressed with what it looks like. It looks excellent. And looking at the plans, it seems like you guys looked at every aspect of what a user would do, from parking on the side of the road to, you know, being in the parking lot to how do you navigate around it. It's really well done. Is there any questions or comments from members of council? Councilor Brody.
So yeah, no, I'm very impressed with the work that's been done on this. And I went around the building tonight on my way here because I really hadn't, you know, I got busy a bit here and I wanted to take a look at it, but building looks really good. One concern is that concrete pad in between the old pavilion and the new existing building. You may have to look at taking that existing concrete pad out just to make that look smooth, level. I mean, I don't think that's gonna be right, just try to patch it as an L. So I think we really need to look at that. The only other concerns I had tonight was and I didn't really look at this part, but I'm just thinking in my head, the existing fence around Diamond 1, I think you've got it as to remain. Now, I guess I'm just, and again, I haven't looked at it myself. I'm just thinking this out loud. Is it good enough? Like, does it look good enough? Is that something that we're just trying to cheap out on a little bit, or should that be replaced?
I can jump in, Councillor Brody. The fence around Diamond 1, it's in really good shape. It's the backstop that's very poor.
Okay.
So they are recommending to replace it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree.
the fence around the actual diamond is in pretty good shape. There's a couple spots. They're going to replace some pipe, but for the most part, it's, I guess, 95%. It looks pretty good.
And then in the pictures here, so that the old existing fence all the way along Kerwood Road is coming out, but there's not going to be, other than just some landscape trees and stuff, no fence in front of it, right?
There is a proposed chain link fence going back up to kind of promote safety, as Morgan mentioned, just for little kids running through the playground so they don't sneak onto the main road. But no, there is a proposed chain link fence.
Okay, with a couple openings.
Yeah, three to be exact.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the back diamond, I mean, there's going to be a little bit older stuff, but that's, I mean, really doesn't get used as much, and it's at the back. So I think if we're going to save anything, that's not a bad spot to not spend too much on. I think that's the only things I had. I think this really looks good. So.
Great. Morgan, you have something to add?
Yeah, so I'll just touch on your concrete pad piece. So we'll talk to Spreets about what it would look like or the potential cost implications just to chop that and make it one nice.
Well, that's what
Square
I
pad.
think it would just be nicer. You're going to have old patch here.
Agreed.
I mean, it's
Well,
not,
then
it's not a big spot. Take it out and just do it fresh, especially if you have to put some drainage in there. Right.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Okay. Councilor McKinnon?
No, I was just really pleased with how we proceeded and gotten along, considering the start that we've had for the last 3 years. So excellent job. So happy to be seeing us going forward.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor Hendricks, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, no, I'm same as everybody else. I've heard good things from families that have already gone to use it. So it's looking great.
Excellent. All right. So it looks like we have two-part motion so that council approve the proposed Kerwood Park improvements phase 2 drawings, and further that council direct staff to proceed with the tender process for the Kerwood Park improvements phase 2. Now, before I say that, did Councillor Clark have anything that she wanted to add? Or did she mention anything? Just
Not that I've had the opportunity to talk to them.
okay, and I haven't heard anything either. So, all right. So we need a mover and seconder for the recommendation. Councillor Brody and Councillor McKinnon. All those in favor? And that's carried. All right, so that brings us to our closed session. So we need to have a motion that council adjourn to closed session at 7:40 PM pursuant to section 239(2)E of the Municipal Act. And that is in regards to the servicing agreement between Adelaide Metcalfe and Strathroy Caradoc. Mover and seconder, Councillor Brody, Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor? And that's